Happy holidays. So I know a lot of you are going through it right now, especially if you're in PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I am Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. I've been suffering with PMDD for over 18 years now, and I created a program called My Partner Has PMDD, Now What? And it's giving your partner the exact tools on how to be a supportive PMDD partner so that you have less stress in your PMDD relationship. So, right now, for the month of December, the next 7 days, I am giving you 50% off. I talked to you before about the private sessions that were available, and now I am giving you 50% off of the program. You can get it for only $497 only for the remainder of the month of December. For 7 days, you can go to inlovewithpmdd.com, get that program, and use the code PMDD partner, and it's going to help you in your PMDD relationship. So let's get into today's episode. We got this. I love you. So there I was out on my PMDD partner's morning routine, and I had the most amazing revelation, the most amazing discovery, because I've been in this journey of really just figuring everything out. And I was like, I'm doing my PMDD partner's morning routine. And my friend was like, I mean, but like, you don't have a partner. So how do you keep calling it your PMDD partner's morning routine? And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, yeah, that makes sense. And so when I've been doing the work, I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So I guess it's just my PMDD like morning routine. But then everything that I do is related to how I show up in relationships. And I was thinking about it and I was like, do I really, want a partner? Because when I was working with my dating coach and he was asking me this question and it was so good. And I was like, yeah, I just feel like it's really weird how I'm entering the dating scene at this time in my life, which I never intended to be single. Okay, let's be clear. Um, but I'm in this place where, I know what a partner is because I deal with PMDD partners all the time. And I was confused. I'm like, yeah, but what I help individuals with in partnership, in relationships, is not what I necessarily desire for this time in my life. But I know that I want to be with someone, but I don't want a partner. And I was like, that's weird. And so I was trying to ask him, I was like, help me. Like, I'm in this dating stage, like, help me get clarity. The reason why I'm telling you this and I'm sharing this with you, and I just came off of my PMDD partner's morning routine. I'm a little bit still sweaty from my walk. I have a date in like an hour, and I'm like, I need to get this out. I need to give this to you because I feel like it's going to help you so much in your PMDD relationships. Because the reason why it was very important for me to be clear on what it is that I want in any kind of connection relationship with someone is because chaos and confusion in PMDD will cause you to suffer more with your symptoms. When you're not clear about things that are going on in your PMDD relationships, PMDD will grab at that. So, like right now, I'm not in PMDD. I just had the last day of my cycle. So I'm going into my follicular days. I think this is the first day of my follicular phase. And the countdown is on. It's like, I need to figure this out before I go into PMDD because if I'm dating and I'm not really clear on what it is that I want, PMDD is going to mess with my head. PMDD will absolutely take your chaos and confusion and mess with your head and make you suffer more in PMDD. So this is the level of urgency you need to have when it comes to getting clear on what it is that you actually desire in your PMDD relationships. So when I was asking the dating coach, I'm like, well, the issue is I have a daughter who is 15 years old, and a lot of people in my age group either have young kids or they are looking to have more kids. And so as I was getting clear on what it is that I desired for this next phase of my journey, I don't want any more kids. And I've never actually said that out loud. I've never actually declared that. I've always been in this place of being open to it. It's easy to say when you're open to something because you're not really committing one way or the other. It's like, if I have kids, I have them. If I don't, I don't. But I'm at this phase where I'm 39. I just turned 39 on November 29th. And my age range, as far as dating is concerned, I got clarity on that. It's 35 to 45. So I can go as low as 35 and a birthday and as up as 45 and a birthday. And that's it. Just because of the type of lifestyle that I live, and the type of lifestyle that I'm going to live moving forward. This is my last year, as far as I know, that I'm going to be in California. And then after that, I'm going to be traveling a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And I know that when you have younger kids, what I've been seeing in the dating realm is that they have this joint custody. I'm saying it like it's a foreign thing. I'm pretty sure all of you know what this is, but I've always had 100% sole legal and physical custody of my daughter since forever, since she was born. You know, my ex-husband, my first ex-husband, we got divorced when she was only 2 years old. And because he travels so much for work, he lives in Florida, but he plays golf all over the world. It just made sense that I had sole legal and physical custody because I travel a lot. And, you know, when it comes to getting passports and all those things, like we just didn't want it to be an issue. And I'm very open, and she has a very open, loving relationship with him. But it just made sense because she was going to be with me full time. So I've helped a lot of other PMDD partners navigate the blended family with the joint custody. And I think here in California, it's even more strict. It's like a 3-2-3-3, where it's kind of like every other week the schedule changes. So like you can have your child one week and you have them on the weekend, and then the next week you have them a couple more days during the week, but you don't have them on the weekends. You have them every other weekend and then 3 days in between. So I help a lot of individuals navigate that. When they're having chaos and confusion about that, right? Because it's chaos and confusion causes you to go at odds. Like you're fighting, you're arguing with your partner. It's like you're not remembering the schedule, and then if there's a last minute change to the schedule, I've seen the way that there have been really big blowups. And so I know for sure that when it comes to PMDD relationships, chaos and confusion is going to make my symptoms worse. So I try to help individuals get a clear plan of what their week looks like every single week. So a lot of my private clients, I have sessions with you every single week, and we map out 1 week at a time, because you can't really do 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, once a month, because there's so many things that come up with the kids. There's so many things that come up with the schedules. There's so many things that come up with the stress. And sometimes when you're in different phases of your cycle, you don't have the energy to really even go through those things without it becoming a fight or an argument. So it's really good to have those private sessions with me on a weekly basis, because I ask you, what do you have going on this week? Okay, let's talk about it. Let's have a meeting. Remember, when I was with my ex-partner, um, we had sessions every single week because so many things come up, specifically when you're in your luteal phase and you don't have the energy to just go at it without going at it, right? So I was in this phase of really understanding, okay, I've got really clear. The age range is 35 to 45. I don't want to have more kids. So the issue that I was coming up with was that a lot of individuals either already had kids and they were small, and or they wanted more kids in the future. Like they either want more kids or they haven't had any kids yet, which I was really mind boggled about. This part of the world that kind of takes their time. I really recognize that in California, in the West Coast, because I grew up in the East Coast. In the East Coast, you kind of get married, the East Coast and the South of the US, you kind of get married a lot earlier. You settle down a lot earlier, and you have kids a lot earlier. So it's not foreign for you to be like me. Like by the time my daughter is 18 years old, I think I'll be like 43 or something. And for people out here, that's like mind boggling, because they can't believe, they're like, no way you have a 15-year old. And I'm like, yeah, I have a 15-year old. And they're thinking, when I say that I have a daughter, they're thinking she's like 5 or 6. And so we're in different phases of our life. So I had to get clear on that. I don't want to connect myself with someone who wants to have more kids and who has young kids where they have to stay in California for a long period of time because they're doing the joint custody, because I don't plan on staying here. I plan on traveling a lot, and I don't want it to be a situation where the person that I'm connected with is feeling pressured to try to navigate traveling all over the world like a nomad, while they have young kids, because I never want the choice to be between me and the kids, right? And I'm pretty sure if as a parent, it never would be. Like, obviously, I would be like in the back burner. And that's fine. And I would always want that. Our kids come first. I get that. And so it's really narrowed that the dating pool, which is good because if you cast your net really wide, you're like getting all of these fish. You know how they say it's plenty of fish in the sea? You're casting it really wide. You're getting all these fish, and it's very confusing because you're like, oh, I'm just going out with this person and this person. When you kind of get very clear on what you want, you're narrowing it down so that the time that you're spending dating is very intentional and you're compatible with them. Like it's all about compatibility. And I'm telling you this as I'm learning it because again, I'm not an expert in dating. I'm an expert in relationships. So if I wanted to get back married again, I could be married by the end of the year. Well, it's the 27th, not the end of the year. It doesn't take me long because I just expedite the process. Like I'm very clear normally on the kind of relationship that I want, which is why I came up with, on my morning routine, I was like, I don't really want a partner. So anyway, back to the session that I had with my dating coach. He was like, okay, let me help you. If it was a Friday night, what is your ideal Friday night if you're in a relationship? And I was like, oh, that's easy. I would want to go on a date night, and I would want to hear about your week. Like we could go out to dinner and or going to a lounge and just like talk about our weeks and just connect and like that. And then maybe if we went to a movie or we did something else, then if we went back to the house and we just talked or played a game or just had good food, more food or like drinks or tea or something and just spend time together. And then after that, I would go home. And then he was like, okay, well, I think I came up with the how many days a week that I would want to see the person, mainly because I was dating this guy. I guess it was dating. I was dating this guy and it was one of the guys that I dated earlier in my journey when I first started dating. And I think and thought that we were so compatible, like, especially after I've dated other people. I'm like, that's the type of person that I want to be with. We have very similar hobbies, very similar outlooks. Like, you know how I'm always saying good vibes only if you follow me on social media. That's like the mantra for my life. And he has the same thing too. He's very spiritual in a sense of we have different religions. He's Jewish, I'm Christian. So, but there's this level of respect. There's this level of respect and admiration for each other's religion. And then we're very spiritual. Like we meditate, we journal, we love to move and dance and go to festivals. And we do all those things independent of each other. So when I met him, and I heard about the things that he was doing. It was like a mirror. I was like, I do all of those things. And we actually got divorced around the same amount of time. Like we were kind of each other's first dating experience, right? Where we were kind of like putting ourselves back out there. And so the only difference is he has younger kids, three younger kids. And that's how I got clarity on like, okay, this can be a potential roadblock because the changing of the schedules and we both were in that realm of like, we don't want to introduce another person to our current children. They've already gone through so much. And I understood when he said that. So whenever I would see him, it would be when he didn't have his kids. And he loved spending time with them, but he also knew that he needed the balance of having that kind of outlet and spending adult time and things like that, doing things with someone that had shared values and all these things. And so that's how we really connected. And it was so good because I don't want anybody to meet my child either. Like, I don't want to bring another person into like a blended family situation because she's so close to being 18. And I really think I should have recognized that early on with my previous marriage where I was recognizing, there's a difference between having a partner where you're co-parenting together and you're co-doing a lot of things. And I was telling my dating coach, I don't want to co-do a lot of these things. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't want to share parenting. I don't want to share finances. I don't want to share, um, I think that was it. I think those were the big two things, but those are the big things in relationships. So he's kind of like, well, that's not a partner. And so he was basically saying, so I noticed I would want to see the person 2 to 3 times a week. And ideally, it would be like maybe a Friday or a Saturday. We would go on a date. And then maybe either Saturday during the day, we would do something like go hiking, like I'm about to do in like an hour or like 45 minutes. Or during the midweek, we could go out to dinner and just kind of like have a catch up. And so he was like, okay, so I know what you want. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was like a drum roll. I was like, okay, what is it? Because it obviously wasn't a partner, because I know what a partnership looks like. And what I was describing was not that. It was like a lower version of that. But it was I was being very true to what it is that I wanted for this phase of my life. I don't want to force myself to do something. Again, forcing in PMDD makes your symptoms worse because if I'm forcing myself to show up a certain way or be a certain way in a relationship, I'm going to suffer because it's going to be like, I really don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to do this. And then there's going to be this bitterness and resentment. And so I got clarity. And he was like, oh, that's a companion. And I was like, a what? Because I think of a companion like my dog. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I think about, a dog as a companion, an animal as a companion, whether it's a cat, a bird, whatever, it's your companion. And he was like, yeah, you don't want a partner, you actually want a companion. And so when I got clear on that, I'm like, you're absolutely right. So I don't want a PMDD partner. I want a PMDD companion. And I started cracking up laughing this morning because I remembered that because my friend was like, how are you going on a PMDD partner's morning routine? And number one, you don't have a partner. And I don't even think you really want one. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. I need to get clear. So I went to the drawing board and I was really journaling on this. And I was like, okay, what is the difference? What is the difference between a companion and a partner? And I would say to you, to my audience that's dating, be very clear on what it is that you want out of these relationships. Because if you're telling people that you want a relationship and then you get in a relationship and you don't want to do, like if you're telling people you want a partner and then you get into these relationships and you don't want to do the partner things, that's going to be a problem. That was me. I was in my marriage and wanting something, but when it came to the co-parenting, I was like, I got this. Like, I don't really need your input. It was a bad decision on my part because my ex-husband wanted to be a father and stepfather to my daughter. And there was two things that was wrong with that. Number one, I didn't feel the need to do that while we were long distance. Now, if we were in a household together, absolutely, it would make sense. But for me, if we're long distance and I'm only seeing you, once or twice a month, it didn't make sense for me to give two different sets of rules and confuse my daughter with how we run the household because we had two different ways of parenting. He was more strict. I was more liberal. It was kind of like a Democratic Republican kind of situation where I'm just like, I believe in getting input from my daughter on all of the decisions that we make. Yes, I come up with the strategic guidelines of like, hey, I think we should do things this way, but I'm always like, what do you think about that? Or what are your thoughts? Or how would this experience be for you? Versus my ex was pretty much like, this is what we're saying. This is what she's doing because we said so. And I grew up in a household like that. It's like, do what I say, not as I do. Like, don't ask why. Just do everything because I said so. And I hated that because I never got a chance to get clarity on a lot of things. And I always had these questions, but I felt like I couldn't ask the questions because I felt like my opinion wasn't valued. And I always said when I had my daughter, that I would make sure that I'm open with her and I answer her questions and I have the conversations and that everything was pretty much open with us. And the thing about it is her dad, like my first husband, actually, we were on the same page with parenting. He was more like that too. So our relationship didn't work, but our parenting styles were very much the same. And that's why he trusted me to have the full custody because she wasn't going to be raised in a situation that was any differently than how it would be if we were all together full time. So that was a mistake on my point that when I was dating before for that short period before I got married, that I didn't make sure that I had a relationship with someone that either parented the same way that I parented or I was in alignment with the way that they parented. So that caused a lot of issues in our relationship. And it was one of the things where it felt like it was a lack of respect because it's like, hey, I'm coming in and I'm saying these things and you're just not respecting them. And it wasn't that I didn't respect them. I just didn't agree with them. And I wasn't going to bend the way that I was parenting to go to a style that I didn't agree with. for this reason, because at the end of the day, it's me and my daughter back again. And I don't want to ruin my relationship with my daughter because I'm adopting a parenting style that I genuinely don't agree with. And so moving forward, I don't even think it's a realm of that. I think I just don't want to confuse her even anymore. Like, so there's no reason for her to be introduced to anyone that I'm dating at this point. So a lot of times when I'm going out on dates, she's with herself or with my condo mates, and I'm not bringing anybody over. I'm not bringing anybody around her. I'm not subjecting her to that because she doesn't need that right now, especially she's a teenager, she's a female. There's a whole other safety, aspect to that. So I'm like, if I'm going on this journey of dating, this is separate from parenting her. And I don't want to bring somebody in and introduce her to, Bob. And it's like, hi. And now she has to be nice to Bob. And we don't know if Bob is going to stick around. Like she doesn't need to go through this. This is on me. And so this is my journey. And so when I'm dating people, I had to be clear on that of like, I don't want any more kids. And I know a lot of people in my age range, they may say, I'm open either way or blah, blah. No, it's if you don't have any kids, I don't feel comfortable being with you and you declaring that you don't want more kids because you could change your mind later on. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm feeling obligated to give you something that I know that I don't want long term. And then I don't want you to feel like you're missing out. And I think that's a mutual shared interest and respect for the other person. So I really got to a point where it narrowed my dating pool. So when the dating coach was like, oh, you want a companion? I want to talk to you. Like for those of you that are dating, or maybe you're starting over, or wherever part of your PMDD journey is, and you're wanting to know the difference between a companion and a partner. A companion is someone that you spend time with and you share activities with, often for enjoyment, for support, and for company. You just want to do things with someone. Now, I will say that I want one companion. Right now I'm dating multiple people because I'm not committed to one companion because I haven't found someone that I'm compatible with on that level. But I do believe in monogamous relationships. And I have to really preface that because in this day and age, there are so many individuals that are open to so many different things. So you have to be very, very clear and intentional about what you're saying that you want, because there's a lot of like polyamorous, and there's a lot of people that want the open relationships, and there's a lot of people that are really good with this friends with the benefits situation. And so that's why I say you have to say the things. You have to be very, very clear. You can't assume, you can't make any assumptions when you're on these dates and you're in these situationships, which is a whole nother episode that I'll do, because it's just a lot. So with the companion, you have that person that you're spending time with, that you're doing activities with, and it's focused on that. It's focused on emotional support. So you do have this kind of emotional aspect to it. You do have these shared experiences. You kind of make beautiful memories together. That's what I basically was telling people. I just want someone that I can make beautiful memories together, spend my time with, share my time with, share a lot of things, share some things, but it's not necessarily all the things. And you really, 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 really need to be on the same page with this, because as you begin to have feelings and as you begin to like a person, specifically when you're in PMDD and you're needing additional support, like what does support look like for a companion? I want to really talk to you about that, because just because they're not your partner doesn't mean that they don't give you any emotional support, but it also doesn't mean that they're solely responsible for your emotional support the way a partner would, right? Because a partner, let me get into a partner and then I'll talk about the PMDD aspect of it. So a partner is someone who you share this is when you're going a level deeper into a committed relationship. So this could be romantic in a sense of like, you're looking into marriage, you're looking into a life partner. This is involving sharing goals. Like you have goals of what your life is going to look like together. You're having shared responsibilities. You're sharing the responsibilities of your life, the things that I was talking to you about, your kids, your finances, you're sharing that. And you have a long-term vision. You're like, at the end of the day, maybe we want to buy a house together, and maybe we want to send the kids to college, and maybe you want to do all these things. So it's a higher level of commitment and mutual accountability. Like this is the situation where if you don't hear from this person for 24 hours, it's a problem, because this is your partner in life. Everything that you're doing in your life is tied to this person. So if you don't hear from them, that's not a partnership, right? With the companion, I'm laughing because I've okay, let me go back to the guy that I was dating, who I guess is my companion, or was my companion. We were companions or whatever. Um, there was one point where he he messaged me and he's like, "Hey, I miss you. Can you like can you like come over? Can we like spend some time together? Can we go out to dinner or something?" And I didn't notice that I was traveling a lot. I was all over the place. I had gone 2 months without seeing this man. And that should be a sign that this is not your partner, right? I had gone on trips. I was like living my life, and he was pretty much like he was okay with it. He had to be okay with it because guess what? We were not partners. We were companions. So he just wanted to spend more time with me, and we did. And we reconnected. And I remember the last time I did that. And then we were hanging out, and he's like, "Well, I guess I'll see you in another 3 months or 2 months for a checkup and to just see how you're doing." And it was so funny because we kind of laughed, but it was what he was ready for, what I am ready for. And my dating coach always says you attract what you're ready for. So when I was thinking that wanted a partner, and I'm like, I want this and this, and it's like, I'm so glad that I got clear on that I don't really desire a partner for this part of my journey. I'm not saying that will never change, but for where I am right now, and I really wanted to get clear going into 2025 because I don't want to be flailing all around every month in PMDD and having all this chaos and confusion. But here's the thing, let's go back to the kind of supportive PMDD partner and supportive PMDD companion. So we all know I have this program called My Partner Has PMDD, Now What? And this is a program that is going to help your partner become a more supportive PMDD partner by teaching them the six, I keep saying seven because I added on another one, the six characteristics of a supportive PMDD partner. Now, when it comes to a PMDD companion, that's completely different because they don't have that same level of responsibility. They don't have that same level of accountability. It's almost like you're dealing with a lot of the things in PMDD on your own. And for me, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with knowing how to manage and navigate my symptoms and not really expecting a lot off of the person that I am in a companionship with. A companionship. It's funny to say. I'm gonna have to find a different word. But I'm fine with that. Like I remember, and I'm trying not to say this person's name. I'm like, please don't say their name. But I remember having bad months in or bad weeks in PMDD and having this companion, and I kind of just like we hung out, but it was like I didn't have energy to do a lot, and he was fine with that. And I was grateful because he didn't require, there was no requirement of like, oh, we need to go here and we need to do this. It was kind of like, hey, I just feel like chilling right now. I don't really feel like going out. He was like, you want to come over and have tea? Like we can relax. There was one time I was having a really bad week in PMDD month. I wouldn't say month. It was like just one of the weeks. And he actually meditated with me. He noticed my energy was like a little bit frazzled, like a little bit off. And he was like, hey, he did the most beautiful thing for me. He did a sound bath. He knew how to do the sound bath thing. And he did that for me. And he was like, lay down and relax. And I laid there and I think I almost fell asleep on it. And he just did the sound bath to just help me relax. That's what I mean by the emotional support as having a companion. It's like when you're spending time together, when you are choosing to spend time with them, they're just nurturing you in that way, and in whatever way suits them, right? It's not a requirement that it has to look a certain way. You're not demanding it out of them and saying, because you're my companion, you need to do this, this, and this. No, you're allowing the qualities that they have to serve you for the time that you're spending time with them. And I think that's so beautiful because when you have a companion, or when I have a companion, I guess, you get to pick and choose when you want to spend time with them and how you want to spend time with them based off of what you have the energy to do. Like right now, I'm in my follicular days and I want to go hiking. And so I'm going hiking with one of the individuals that I'm dating with the mindset of this could be a potential companion, right? Because I obviously want one companion that I'm speaking to, that I'm investing my time in eventually. But I got the clarity that it's not a partnership, it is a companionship, and that's okay. And it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter way of a relationship has to look a certain way. but you need to be clear and it needs to be mutual on both parties. You need to have those conversations. And I know when you're dating, it's like really, really hard because you maybe don't want to turn the person off, or you don't want to say things a certain way. You don't want to like pressure them, but you need to be clear before feelings are involved, because then it's awkward, because then you have to pull the plug on something, and you might be having to pull the plug on something that you genuinely connect with them on a whole bunch of other areas, just not in one specific area. Like for me, like I told you, mine was the co-parenting. We agreed on a lot of other things, but the co-parenting was not. And I thought that that was going to be okay. And I could work through that. And it was always an issue. The things that become an issue in the beginning are always going to be issues. They don't go anywhere until you get on the same page with your issues with your PMDD partner or your PMDD companion, or whoever it is that you're dating. Until you get on the same page, it is always going to be a situation where PMDD is going to grab it and make you feel really confused about it. And it's really gonna just, make you suffer more in PMDD. And that's what I'm here to just help you to suffer less in PMDD. So you need to be very clear when you're dating, very, very clear on what it is that you're wanting, what it is that the other person's wanting, and just being clear. You don't have to always want the same things. It's not a bad thing if you want something different. That's what I want to let you know, because sometimes you can feel like, oh, well, I need to mirror what it is that they want to what I want. Like, I don't want you to put yourself, I definitely don't want you to put yourself in a situation where you're forcing yourself to be in a kind of connection and relationship with someone that you're not ready for, that you don't absolutely want. And the only way you get to that point is being very clear on what kind of relationship, what kind of connection that you want, so that when you go into PMDD, it's very clear. I am looking for this. I am not forcing myself to be in a type of relationship that doesn't align with what is going to align with me when I get in my luteal phase. Because when you get in your luteal phase and you're suffering with PMDD symptoms, really think about, what kind of support do you want? Do you want the type of relationship where you're basically navigating and managing your symptoms on your own? Or are you wanting a partner that is more supportive and more integrated with you managing your symptoms? Because I know a lot of you, you're having this issue because you're getting into PMDD and you're wanting to isolate. You're wanting your own space and time to manage your PMDD symptoms. You're not wanting a partner. A partner is there that's really saying to you, okay, let's game plan this. It's a partner. They are a part of you. They're saying, let's do this for your symptoms, and let's do this, and let's do this. And you're like so annoyed by it. And the reason you're so annoyed by it is because you're wanting more of a companion, maybe, whereas that person isn't so involved with you managing your PMDD symptoms. Or you have a partner that's very clear on what their role is supposed to be when you're suffering with your PMDD symptoms. And you're being very clear to them and saying, when I go into PMDD, this is the type of support that I need. I need you to be more involved with taking care of the kids. I need you to help me with the chores. I need you to help more with when when I'm having a headache. Can you make me some food? Can you bring this to me? That's the type of support that you're wanting. Or you're wanting a less involved individual that is like, hey, I'm going to give you your space. I'm going to close the door. Like, let me know when you're good, or I'm going to call you later on when you're, a couple of days out of PMDD, when you're not suffering as much. And they're okay with that. The other individual needs to be okay with the type of support that you're needing when you're in PMDD, because if they're expecting to show up for you in a way and they're forcing themselves into a door and you're wanting to isolate and be by yourself, you're going to have a lot of resentment, a lot of bitterness, and a lot of unforgiveness, because you're just going to be wanting your space to navigate your symptoms on your own. Or you're going to be wanting them to take a more proactive approach and be more involved. But if you're not clear on that, you guys are not going to be on the same page, and it's going to cause your connection and your relationship with that person to suffer. So I want you to really get to the point where you're really mapping it out. What kind of PMDD relationship do you want? I just told you I'm very clear on desiring a companion, not a partner. There's no judging in that. There's no judging of like, you should want this or you should want that. I'm not telling you that you need to have a PMDD partner. Maybe you need to have a PMDD companion that is a little bit less involved, or maybe you're wanting your partner to be more supportive. And if that's the case, then you can get my program called My Partner Has PMDD. Now what? That is really teaching them how to be a more supportive PMDD partner. I'm not saying that they're not already supportive, but you may need more from them. And if you need more from them, you need to be in a position where you're giving them the tools on how to be a more supportive PMDD partner, not just expecting them to just do it and not really understand what that looks like. They need to understand PMDD relationships. They need to be in a point where they're understanding how to show up to you even more. And a lot of times the way that they do that is by getting this guideline, is getting help. The same way you need help with managing your PMDD symptoms may be the same way that they need help with managing what that looks like. So I'm going to just go over a couple of ways that if you don't have clarity in your PMDD relationship, how it can make your PMDD symptoms worse. So the first thing is you have this increased emotional overwhelm. You get more anxious, you get more anxiety, more depression when you're not clear on what it is that you want in your PMDD relationship, because it's chaos and confusion, and it's going to intensify your PMDD relationships because you're going to be feeling unstable. You're going to be feeling like, I don't know, especially when you're dating. I don't know what we are. Are we this? Are we that? Is it this? Is it that? You don't need that. It's going to increase your anxiety, because when you have uncertainty or there's unclear communication in your PMDD relationships, it's going to increase the anxiety that you're already having in PMDD. So it's going to make you feel more on edge. It's going to make you feel more panicked. It's going to increase your irritability. You're going to be so frustrated with your partner if they're not being supportive in a way that you genuinely need them to be. If your partner's not clear on it and you're just going to be telling them, I need you to be more supportive. I need you to be more supportive. I need you to be more supportive. They don't know what that means. You don't really know what it means when you're in PMDD. Like, it's very hard for you to explain it. You're like, I know what it is, and I know what it is, but I can't articulate it when I'm in PMDD. So it's going to lead to that irritability, and you're going to be thinking that your partner is making you more irritable, when in reality, it's the lack of clarity. It's the chaos and confusion that's going on in your brain. This can actually trigger your PMDD symptoms. When you have a lot of chaos and confusion, it's going to trigger your PMDD symptoms. You're going to have the mood swings. You're going to have the crying spells. You're going to have the feelings of rejection. This is going to be very, very clear, because you're going to feel rejected by your partner because they're not showing up to you in a way that you need them to be. So you're going to be like, they don't love me. They don't care about me. They don't value me. And you're going to feel rejected. And it's going to cause you to have, isolation. You're going to have a lot of isolation with your PMDD relationship and your PMDD partner, because once you recognize that this chaos and confusion and lack of clarity is causing your symptoms to be worse, you're going to feel like you need to isolate from your partner. You're going to be feeling like, I don't want to be around you because you're causing my PMDD symptoms to be worse. And so you may be thinking that it's the person, and it's not really the person. It's the fact that there is chaos and confusion and a lack of clarity. So you're going to be having a lot of the communication. It's just, you're just not going to be on the same page, right? I really think that when you get into this realm of not being clear, it's almost like you're always trying to say something and they're not catching it. Then they're getting defensive. And by the time you're talking to them about it, you're blaming them, you're shaming them, you're criticizing them. Then they're getting defensive, and you're getting into this cycle of just unhealthy communication. And then you're just getting into the realm of shutting down. So if you're in that place and you're feeling like, I need clarity, like I said, I need clarity. And if you don't have clarity going into 2025, and I don't, even if you're listening to this and you're in 2025 and you're like, I'm not really clear on, number one, the type of relationship that I want. If you're dating, then you need to get those PMDD relationship reset sessions with me so we can get really clear and have a strategy session on what that looks like. And number two, maybe you're already in a relationship. Maybe you're already in a marriage, and you feel like whatever stage in your relationship that you're in, it's just not clear. You're not on the same page with how you're moving forward in this next year. You're not on the same page in the next month. Like, you're like, we're having problems with the blended family. Like, I'm wanting to parent this way. I know that I want to be with this person. I don't want to break up with this person. I don't want to throw the whole relationship away. But I also know that these issues that we're having are impacting us negatively every single month in PMDD, because you're going to get hopeless over time if you do not handle the issues, and if you do not get clear on how you want your partners to show up in the relationship, what you really need in a relationship. And if you're pressing down your needs and you're avoiding it and acting like you don't need it, but you really do, you're going to get bitter and resentful for having those unmet needs. You're not going to be clear. And so you're going to be feeling like the only way to get the clarity and to get rid of the chaos and confusion is to just break up. So I'm going to offer you two things that you can do to really get clear on what it is that you need in your PMDD relationship. Number one is to get those PMDD relationship reset sessions that are available at inlovewithpmdd.com. Just click on there where it says private sessions. You get clarity from having that private session with me. This is something that we can do in one session. This doesn't take, I have my ongoing sessions that are every single week for a lot of my private clients that I've had for years now. But this kind of session where you're really wanting to get clear and getting a game plan, we can do this in one 90-minute session with either you or you and your partner. So this will be a way that you get rid of the chaos, get rid of the confusion, and get rid of feeling like your PMDD relationship is making your symptoms worse. And number two, the other way to get clear, if you're saying I'm with the right person, I know I want to be with this person, but I also know that my partner is not showing up in a way that is supportive to me. Like I'm not feeling their support. I know that they want to be more supportive, but they just don't know what that looks like. And they need the tools and the training on that. Then you can get my program. My partner has PMDD. Now what? It is a self-paced course. You can go through it. It has 14 modules. You can go through it as fast or slow as you want. You have lifetime access to it. And right now for the month of December, it is 50% off. Right now you can get it. Go to my website, inlovewithpmdd.com. Click on my partner has PMDD. Now what? And use the code PMDD partner, not with an S, and you will get that discount. And so this will be a way that you can get clarity in your PMDD relationship so that your partner and your relationship is not causing your PMDD symptoms to get worse. So until next time, we got this. Love you. I hope these tools help you and your PMDD partner. If you have not enrolled to get the course, My Partner Has PMDD, Now What? Then you want to make sure that you are one of the first 12 individuals that gets the course for the month of December to get that complimentary private session with me. And then after that, it'll go back to regular price without the private sessions. But what this course is going to do for you is give your partner all of the tools that they need on how to be a supportive PMDD partner. What does that look like? I always say that your partner doesn't need more information. They need more implementation. They need more transformational tools. And this is the program for you. So I'm looking forward to you getting those tools in the program. And until next episode, we got this.